Welcome back to the Hot Mess Medium podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Mack, and this episode is such a treat. I swear, we have the beautiful, just incredible Jenny from Starseed Academy on as a guest for this episode. And this conversation, there were so many times we had chills or we just could feel the potency of the energy that was present. This episode wasn't planned at all. There's no strategy here. It really was just about opening up a sacred space to allow exactly whatever conversation was meant to come through to come through. And it's just so wild, you guys, how even though it's not planned and I didn't even know what questions I was going to ask Jenny or how it was all going to play out. I swear it was designed so perfectly and purposefully for you guys. And I know that there's just so many things we discussed, so much of what came through, the beautiful messages that came through, the stories that Jenny shared. Oh my goodness, her awakening story. I know that there's just so much here that's going to inspire you, to light you up, or to help you feel seen. I just know that you're going to, leave this episode with something. And there's something you're going to be able to take away from this that you were needing to hear. I truly, truly believe that. And I mentioned this quickly in the episode, but I've been dying to hear Jenny's story for so long, her awakening story. I mean, I think that's something that all of us want to hear, right? We want to know someone's story. We want to hear about their childhood. We want to know, what was the catalyst? What led you to where you are now, to doing the work that you're doing, all of that. And so Jenny shares that with us. And there's even a few things in there that she shared that she's never shared before. And wow, what an honor for her to have shared that with us. And I love that she also just trusted, okay, if this is coming up for me to share, then someone needs to hear it. So, and finally, before we dive into this episode and you hear all the magic that you're about to hear, I want to very quickly talk about 123 Spirit Academy because this is the most magical way to work with me right now. And I also realized that I don't think I've shared about it on the podcast yet because I took a little break. I took a little break from the podcast. Life has been busy. Summertime, all four of the kids are home. So I've just been balancing work and mom life and also all of the other things that come along with being human. And I know the last few episodes, there was this theme about time and being more present. And that's what I've been doing. I've been just visiting friends and family and having more spontaneous trips with the kids and, trips to the beach, going to camp and just really enjoying our time outdoors and our time together. So it's been really, really beautiful. But I am about to start stepping back more into the business because the academy is about to finally begin. And I have been talking about it on social media and stuff, but I haven't talked about it on here. So this is a mediumship academy where I am teaching you ethical, evidential mediumship in a grounded way, in a way that is easy to grasp, is digestible. It's for humans. Because the world needs more authentic, evidential mediums who have integrity and who are grounded. I want to change the way the world perceives mediums. I want more everyday humans knowing that they too have this connection and you too can develop this connection. And not only are we developing your gifts, your, mediumship abilities, but you're also developing this sense of self-trust and confidence because we are going to be practicing everything we are learning. actually implementing and embodying the things that you are learning. And the thing is, when you are developing your mediumship, you are also simultaneously developing your intuition. And also, your life begins to change, just like it did for me when I decided to take the leap and go all in on mediumship and developing it. I did not know. It's so wild because I wonder what I would have done if I would have known then what I know now. The fact that my life changed completely. Like, it's just so insane what happens when you decide to go all in on your gifts and like just taking that leap, decide to be of service and share your gifts with the world. And so not only are we doing all the mediumship stuff, there's also the business side of things. I'm also there to support you in actually creating offers, in actually, the part where you are stepping out into the world and sharing your gifts and putting them out there and being of service. Like, you're going to have the confidence to actually do that, and you'll have the support from someone like me who has worked with some of the most amazing business mentors out there. And I have all of that business knowledge and experience because I've done it too. And I've learned from so many incredible business mentors. So I'm so excited to merge the two parts of my work together into one place, which is the 123 Spirit Academy. And I also want to share really quick that when did I even do that? Oh my God. Early August, I think it was, or was it end of July? I can't remember. I did a 123 Spirit workshop. Okay, it was a 3-day workshop. It was $11. And I had about 30 something signups for this. Like, it was incredible. And so the purpose of this 3-day workshop was for everyone to test drive their mediumship abilities, because I wanted to create an opportunity for that, right? Because a lot of people, they're like curious about it. They know they have a gift, but they're not sure if they can do it. They just need a space to be able to practice, right? And to be shown that they can do it. And so that's exactly what happened. I created a space for that. And it was just like, the results were literally mind blowing. The women in this space were incredible. And they all, like, it worked. They all received information from Spirit. And it was so amazing to see their faces light up and just be like in awe of how easy it was and the connection that they were able to make. And, I just love seeing everyone celebrating one another. And especially in something like this, right? Like, it can feel very vulnerable to put yourself out there and to practice something, not knowing how it's going to turn out with all these other people, right? And they did it. And it was such a safe space for that. And I'm so excited to create a space like that also in the academy. So I mentioned the workshop because I am actually going to be rerunning it again. So if that's something you'd be interested in, definitely let me know, and I can make sure that you are on the list so that you are the first to hear about it when I decide to do it again. I'm thinking sometime in September. So that's all that I'm going to share for right now. If you do want to learn more about the 123 Spirit Academy, the link is going to be in the show notes, of course, as well as all of Jenny's info so that you can connect with her, because she's got some really incredible offers as well, and which she does talk about during this episode. So there we have it. I am done talking now. Let's get into this episode. It is pure magic. You're going to love it. And don't forget to let us know your biggest takeaways. If you love this episode, we would love to hear from you. So here it is.
So funny.
Okay. The 9 to 5 is bullshit. I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting. So I'm curious if you could relate to this. I mean, I'm sure you can. I've noticed this thing where when you're starting out as a spiritual entrepreneur, you're definitely taking on a lot more. I know for me, it was like, okay, I'm booked out every day or like, 5 days out of the week and I'm go, go, go. And you're charging a lot less. And you're like, like I'm trying to climb this ladder, but also I'm afraid to charge more or I'm afraid of, this or that or whatever. What will happen if I do make my schedule less available or whatever? Did you also go through that?
Oh my God, so much. It was like single session burnout, but I did it even like slower because I started on my single sessions not being live. Like I started by doing readings on email, like emailing, and it takes a really long time to type all of that out, no matter how many you try to talk to text and then fix it all. And so that was like, spending hours and hours on one thing, on one reading. And so for me, that was totally insane. And then, yeah, and then it went to live, and then I'm slowly just like, you just let things go. Like then you have to let
Yeah.
go of a lot of single sessions and reduce them to, I only do them 2 slots on Tuesdays, 2 slots on Wednesdays, and everything else is just off limits. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh my God. I went through something so similar, and I'm sure that so many listening are going to be able to relate. Oh, I see a kitty. Oh, your
Oh,
kitty just walked by. You
yeah,
have a cat, right?
I have two. Yeah, that'd be funny if I didn't.
Wait, what's that? Um, yeah, I was so there. Oh my God. When I think back at how much time I would pour into something that would now take me like 10 minutes or whatever. It's like I also tried, email readings, or I would do these pre-recorded things or whatever. And it just, I, sorry, where am I going with this? I got so burnt out. Yeah, single session burnout is absolutely a thing. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's wild what happens when you start to reduce and like cut out things that maybe aren't necessarily worth as much your time and energy, right? And you can be more selective, I guess is the word, with where you are pouring your time and energy. And also then there's a thing with charging more so that you're not having to do so much. And have you noticed a difference in who you're working with as you've done that? I'm curious, like, have that was a huge thing for me.
Absolutely. It's such a natural progression. The thing is, you can't actually skip any steps though, because you
I
have to
know.
grow into that person. You have to kind of like grow into the person that can hold more space and hold the frequency for higher pricing and all of that. And it really is like when I look back on the journey of Starseed Academy, it's like every step in my business taught me so much, because at the beginning, like you're talking about, almost like reducing access to yourself or pulling back in ways too. And it's like I remember doing like 3 YouTube videos a week. When I think about that now, 3 a week, do you know how much editing that is? That's insane. But I didn't have all these clients, so I had the time, and I knew that I wanted to treat it like a full-time job. So I was spending full-time, like 3 times a week doing this. And I would do membership events every single week in my membership. And you naturally have to pull back. Like I pulled back to 2 videos a week on YouTube, then one, and I'm holding steady at one. And then in my membership, pulling back to 3 events, and now just bi-weekly events. You just have to. And then with like the single sessions and stuff, you start to realize that that's premium time with you one-on-one. Like what we're doing is like, this is premium time. And
Mm-hmm.
like that is the most valuable thing I have, is my time. And so that's why it needs to be at the top of your pricing, is like having that one-on-one with you, more so than group stuff. And so then you realize, okay, well, how much energy do I have for these one-on-ones? Because I used to like, another thing is I would fill my day up with like 5 or 6 things. I can't do that. That doesn't actually honor me at all. I've now capped it to 3 things. I do 3 things.
Same.
Really? No way.
Literally three. Are you also a projector?
I'm a
Oh,
manifesting generator. I'm manning.
okay.
Mhm.
I was just really curious, but yes. 3 things, that is my max. I love
Yeah.
that you shared that. Yeah.
It's like if I and people like you'll grow, you'll start to like value your energy so much that you make yourself finally the top priority. And you didn't do that before. You were in hustle mode, hustle mode, hustle mode. And it's like, no wonder I was so burnt out. No wonder I was so unhappy. It's like now I'm sitting like at the top of my business, at the top of the mountain, right? Looking
Yes.
down, being like, okay, do I have the energy for that right now? Every single business idea I have does not have to get done this moment. It's okay to have a book full of business ideas. And instead of it being overwhelming, let it be that's a business plan. That means I have a vision. That means it's going somewhere. That means I'm manifesting it as I'm thinking about it. And it's like I've had stuff on my list for like a year, and I don't pressure myself to make it all happen right now because it's good to have a vision. So it's okay to have lots of business ideas and things that you don't have the time for this second. It will unfold naturally. So yeah, I definitely have reduced one-on-ones down to like 4 spaces a week. And then if I have like, I'm getting a puppy on Monday, so I'm super excited about that. I'm like been waiting for this moment. And so I've like, booking time off for things like that feels normal to me now, instead of feeling like, oh, I couldn't possibly. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna take a couple of days off to settle him in. He's like a baby. It's like before I wouldn't give myself that. So it's just this self-worth and this value, and it's
Mm,
come from doing so much inner work. An entrepreneur
absolutely.
wild ride. It's like all the inner work I've done.
It is I always say this, yeah, about the entrepreneurial journey. It is like the wildest healing journey, initiation you could ever go through. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm sure you work with a lot of entrepreneurs too now, so you're now guiding them through that, which I am going to get into actually, properly having you share who you are and your story. But really quick, I love that you brought up the organic, natural progression that takes place on this journey. Like, you're right, we couldn't skip those steps. Like, there's so many things we needed to learn, like during those uncomfortable, like new, vulnerable experiences, working with different people, doing all those one-on-ones. And it's like you figure it out as you go. And it really is this organic, like unraveling almost. And I feel like this is so important for my listeners to hear, because a lot of people are afraid to get started, or they're like, well, how am I going to get there? But it's like you just have to start exactly where you are and know and trust that as you move forward, you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out as you go, and you're going to grow through those things, and you're going to notice, oh, okay, this was feeling alive, but now it's not. This, working on this day was feeling really good. Now it's not. It's like you just, yeah, again, I can't say this enough. You figure it out as you go. And what's so important with that, yeah, what's so important with that is like just remaining in tune with yourself, your energy, and your intuition all along the way. So, yeah, anyways, I just love that you
I
shared
think
that.
investing in yourself too, that's literally where things changed for me. Like that,
Same.
people think that you say that because you want people to invest in you, right? Like there's this weird thing where people say,
I
oh, you
know.
saying that because she wants me to like buy her program. It's like,
No,
no, I'm buying programs. Like I'm setting up myself for success by having a business mentor, having like a personal, like she's called a subconscious coach, but it's somebody that's helping me to heal the fight or flight nervous system, all of that. I don't have to live in that place anymore when I work
yes,
with her. And when I started investing in myself heavily is when the whole business, it's like telling the universe, like, look at what I'm ready to take, like hold. I can hold so much more. And by investing in my business and investing in myself, it's this huge blaring signal to the universe that I'm ready for more. I'm ready for more. I can handle it.
huge.
Give it to me now. I couldn't have handled the huge launches before, or all the people on my wait list, or all the things. It would have felt really overwhelming. And I would have
Yes,
self-sabotaged for sure.
yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
1000%. I love that you brought that up. And I know that feeling of like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm saying this because it's like I want them to invest in. It's not that. It's like, I know actually we are investing in ourselves, in our business. I have been nonstop investing in myself. Some investments better than others. But it was all for my learning and growth, and I truly trust that. But yeah, I've been investing in my business since the beginning. And you're so right. It's so wild, the opportunities that came through when I started doing that. Like when I was like, I'm ready. Like, okay, let's go all in and take those next steps. Even those moments where I was so uncertain of where it would lead me. Um, I'm curious now, actually, on this topic. How do you how do you choose what to invest in or who to invest in? How is that process for you? I'm so curious.
Yeah. I have to invest in myself equally as I do my business. So if I'm investing
Mm,
in, okay, I have like a business strategist, like basically like, who I have. And then I need to invest in myself as like a soul, as a being, as a human, just as heavily. So it's equal. So that's how I'm feeling is really working for me. If I give myself the equal amount of investment, attention, time that I give my business, then it's very cohesive. Then it feels like I'm like we're one. You are your business as an entrepreneur. You are the business. So if you don't invest in yourself, people make this mistake where they just invest in strategies and launch
hmm
plans and the launch codes and all the things. The best launch code that you will ever have is unshakable confidence. And the only way that you can get to that is through healing all of the self-worth issues.
Yeah.
Unshakable confidence is like you are able to hold the frequency of a launch from start to finish. There's no dips. You're not worried. You always show up as if millions of people adore you and are signing up for your programs. You just keep showing up that way and that becomes your reality. You can't do that if you don't heal what's going on inside. The little girl or the little boy inside that had all these we all have so many layers of hurt. And
Yeah.
you can't just continue to try to like steamroll over top of those with big months of 10K month, 20K month. That's not the healing, right?
Right.
And the consistency won't be there. So when I started investing in myself the same way I invested in my business, it came second. And then I realized, oh my God, why wasn't I doing this all along? There was this consistency that kicked in. It was like, oh, now it's not up and down dips in the business. It's like it's so consistent now because I
Mm,
feel stable. It got stable. It's just
yeah.
so beautiful. But for like choosing a mentor, I think you should choose someone that speaks your language. Like I
hmm
chose a psychic business mentor. Obviously, I'm a psychic business mentor. I'm going
Obviously.
business mentor. And then for like somebody for a subconscious coach, I wanted somebody that spoke the language of frequency. She talks about timelines, frequency, manifestation, being a sovereign creator, creating your own reality. I'm like, she gets it. Like
Yeah.
I can't have somebody that doesn't get it, like a 3D. That's not going to cut it for me. I need somebody that's up with me in the higher frequencies and there's no victim anything in it, no victimhood.
Oh, that's so powerful. I love that you shared all of that. And I can so relate. I think it's so important to invest in someone or, notice who you feel really drawn to and connected to and who is speaking sort of the same language. I invested with someone last year, or I think it was the year before, who, oh, this is coming up for a reason. Someone needs to hear this.
I felt
Notice,
it.
oh, okay. Notice from where, what energy you are investing in from. Okay. So like when I invested with this person who is so different than me, like so very different from me, it was like I was looking for someone who was so different from me because of the space I was in. This is when everything started crumbling, all the fear in the spiritual community, that whole wild time that we've talked about briefly um, recently. And I was looking for safety and I was craving the strategy and the structure and like the heavy masculine energy. And so that's where I invested from. It was like, okay, she can give me steps on what to do so I could completely ignore everything else that's happening inside of me. And so it's so interesting to look back at that and to learn and grow from that, right? And to see like, okay, it's so different now how mindful and aware I am of what is the space I'm in when I am choosing to invest in someone or when I'm choosing, a mentor or whatever it is. Is it from a space of, oh my God, they have all the answers and I'm just gonna like, you know, count on them to save me, or whatever it is? Or is it like, wow, this feels like I'm being asked to rise and my next level is here. And yeah, anyways, I just felt like that needed to come through for someone. I love that you felt that. What were you feeling when I was talking about
As
that?
soon as you went, ooh, I was like, oh, I got chills. I was like, something big is coming through, a transmission is coming through, because people invest in lack. And
Oh, I've
if you
chills everywhere.
me too. If you invest in lack, you just get more lack,
Yeah.
right? Like you're just going to get more of what you're in, what you're focusing on. That's almost like, think about like, that's almost like you're betting on lack. Like if you're at a horse race and there was a horse called like lack mentality and you put all your money on it, why would you want it to win? Like it doesn't make any sense, right? So we want to invest
Yeah.
from a place of empowerment and yeah, stretching outside your comfort zone, but at a
Mhm.
safe rate.
Yes.
Like you can't just, I think it's important that you pick people that are one or two steps above, one or two steps above, one or two steps above, not 10 steps above where you're at. You're not even going to speak their language. I think it's important to be able to relate to your mentors as well. So
Yeah.
a couple of steps above where I'm at feels really good, like a healthy stretch.
Hmm.
And then you stay with them. That's another thing. It's like if you try to hop from mentor to mentor to mentor, you're not going to go as deep.
Yeah.
I've been with the same two people now for like going on up to a year. So it's like that's really long investment times, booking like 6 months and then another 6 months. And it's like I stay with them until I don't know when. I guess I'll just know when it feels like they're no longer one or two steps above and you maybe have to step outside of that. But I just think it feels like it creates stability when you choose to stay with your mentor for a longer period of time. And I
Yes.
think that people are looking for quick fixes. Like
Oh
the
my God.
send me the launch codes thing. Like you can literally
Hmm.
probably go on Instagram right now and find someone that will sell you launch codes in a pre-recorded 4-week something. And it's just not the same as
Yeah.
you have to develop your own launch codes. That's copycat industry, copy
Yeah.
paste. You can't, that's not going to work for somebody like you and I, that's intuitive, psychic, and paving our own pathway. What
Yeah.
we have doesn't exist. These business plans don't exist. You don't
Mm-mm.
have the answers for me. So I need to find my answers from within and find mentors who can help pull that out of me. Right.
Yes.
Mm.
1000%. Wow. There's just so much happening here. Like this conversation is so powerful that I'm like, I'm buzzing everywhere. Okay. Because it's so true. And I've also learned the lesson of investing in someone who was like 10 steps ahead of me. And it, you want to know what it did? It completely shocked my nervous system.
Yeah.
I, it unfortunately, I wasn't able to grow in the way that I could have if she was only a few steps ahead of me. It was like I'm not saying, I'm not putting her up on a pedestal or, it's nothing like that. It was like whether it was the frequency or just where she's at in her business versus where I was at in my business, it was so far apart that I wasn't able to truly receive everything that I could have if I were in a completely different space.
Because
Unfortunately,
they're stretching your nervous system or stretching your comfort zone, more like stretch your comfort zone a little bit, follow that excitement with a splash of fear, stretch your comfort zone that much, but a full shock to the nervous system is what you received, right?
yeah, totally. It was just way too much of a difference. And so um it doesn't mean anything about her and it doesn't mean anything about me whatsoever. It was like that was something I needed to learn and I'm really grateful for all of this. But yeah, I love what you're sharing also about these like quick fixes. And I this yeah, that's something I've noticed that I want to make sure I'm um sorry, how do I say that? There's so much energy because everything that we're sharing is so powerful. Um, but like I've also been able to notice the difference in those longer term containers, not only as someone investing in longer term containers and noticing how much more powerful that is, but also as someone who is going to now moving forward hold space for longer term containers because it's not about quick fixes. It really isn't. And So that's what I'm moving into in my business as well. So I love that you shared about that, because I think we are very used to um, just like hurry up and fix this or save me or whatever, and I love that a lot of people are shifting away from that. So I love that you talked about that. With now, I would love if you could share, who are you, Jenny? And can you share? I've been dying since I met you to hear your awakening story, or
Ooh,
like leading up to it. I don't know why. I really would love to hear that. And I'm sure my listeners would love to hear that. Um, yeah, take it
okay.
away.
My name is Jenny. We haven't even done that yet. Um, and I have a business called Starseed Academy. I started it in January of 2019 as a YouTube channel. And I was just feeling very called at the time to be on YouTube. Sometimes you just know that you're being called to do something. And I was called for a while before, probably a whole year before I actually did it, which is normal. But I was too afraid, and I felt all the feelings that everybody probably feels like, well, what do I have to offer that people are already doing it better than me? They're already saying it better than me. What could I possibly have to offer to people? But what we have to offer is our own personal frequency. Like, we have inside of us these incredible soul gifts, perspectives, stories, ways of seeing things, ways of explaining things that nobody else is explaining them. And it just really started landing for people. I have this like gift for taking something very complex and describing it in a very simple way. And because I see things simple and grounded. And so when I describe how I see things, it helps people understand crazy concepts like star seeds and ascension and dimensions and all the things. And I just feel very grounded in my industry, where there's a lot of spacey airiness in a lot of people, very ungrounded energy. And there's a lot of that, ego almost energy too, where it's like people are trying to make things more confusing to feel important by using these crazy big words and concepts. And to me, I'm not into that. And so people just feel like the authenticity, the groundedness, the relatability. And so they come over to my channel and they binge it. They just, it's been like a really great way to build community. That's a little entrepreneur tip. Long form content like podcasts and YouTube videos, something longer than, half hour or longer, is what builds community. It's not all the little short reels. And your community is your OG fan base. They will support you in everything that you do if you could get that, especially at the beginning of your business. So I was really, really fortunate to kind of like fall upon that. Without even realizing I was building a community, I was building it. And that was like the beginnings of everything for me. Just a YouTube channel. I didn't have a website. Like, I didn't have anything. I just had a really beautiful community that I was building. That is what the foundation of Starseed Academy is. But a lot of what I was sharing was, when you were asking me about like my awakening story, that's what I shared on YouTube. Like, I would allow myself to be very unscripted, very authentic, very emotional, or whatever I was. Not perfect, basically, this imperfect human just trying and doing their best to understand what's happening to them, and to explain to others what, the possibilities of what that could be for them too. And again, just that real relatability. And the thing about people that, whether you consider yourself a star seed or a light worker, it's all really just awakening souls, is really all it means, is people that are coming into new levels of self-awareness. And what I find is that a lot of those souls choose really difficult childhoods. And I
Mm,
started sharing very unapologetically about that I chose, like, when I say chose, I'm thinking like soul contracts, choosing things that are extremely heavy and extremely difficult to guarantee an awakening, to guarantee that through contrast, I will be shaken awake. Through hitting rock bottom, I will somehow be like, wait, what the fuck, like, is going on? There's got to be more than this. There's no way this is what I came here to experience. And so I must have scheduled for myself all the dark nights, like all the dark nights of the soul that I could handle at such a young age. So like, I had, just to touch on it quickly so that people understand that you're not alone.
yeah.
It's super normal to have, as somebody that considers themselves spiritual or ascending, or all these terms, awakening, light worker, starseed, all of that I put together into one community of self-awareness. And the reason that we have that level of self-awareness is because we hit those rock bottoms. So having abusive parents, like I had an alcoholic father, who was
Mm.
extremely like violent and verbally abusive. I had, my mom really struggled a lot with her like mental health, and that really came through, into the family as well. I grew up in like an extremely haunted house. Why would I choose these things for myself? Like, it was so haunted, and it caused a lot of deep rooted fears, deep seated
Mm.
fears. But also can't do anything but awaken you to spirit. Like, how else? Like, it's just so funny, like super haunted house, super scary events, yet could not do anything but like help me see that I was very open to spirit, very connected to spirit. It was like an initiation, but it was really, really difficult. And then I had the
Mhm.
religious trauma where I was
Oh.
raised in this very cult-like religion, very cult-like, not even religion. It was like so culty. And it was like really difficult to grow up as that, where you weren't allowed to have any individuality or a look or a style or
Mm.
your own opinion, especially as a woman. Especially as a woman, they were definitely seen as less than the men in this kind of experience. And to try to unravel all of that brainwashing, it's just so much, right? So coming out of that, having my what you would maybe call an awakening, um at like, for me it started around 25. Like, for me it was like I
Okay.
was like so solidly in the trauma and in the victim mentality and all of that until I was about 25, and someone handed me the book The Secret and said, I think you need to read this. And I was like, oh, okay. And it changed everything. Like, literally, that took me out of victim mentality. And victim mentality is the biggest sleeping pill on this earth. It will just put you back to sleep again and again and again. If you want to talk about the opposite of awakening, it's victim mentality. And then
Yeah.
you get out of that and you realize even something as simple like, now The Secret seems very basic and like an introduction to something. But at the
Yeah.
time, revolutionary. Like, at the time for me, that was huge. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, wow, like, hold on, this makes sense. I am creating all of this. I am buying into all of this. And that was my first taste of awakening, which was
Oh.
manifestation and the law of attraction. And it just deepened from there. I started realizing that I had these gifts. They were very like dimmed by my parents through fear because of the religious stuff, but I would try to explain to them stuff that was happening to me with either the haunted house or these insane experiences I was having with like visitations. I would call them angelic visitations. Like, I literally remember seeing an angel at 13 years old at the foot of the bed, and it was scary but also beautiful but also confusing. Being able to, my clairaudience was so strong, it kicked in, or maybe was always there. I was always able to like hear music. Where is it coming from? Like, no one else can hear this music. Or like in my mind's ear, comfort and support. And it felt like more than just myself getting me through those tough times.
Mm.
And I remember I've always been a singer. And I remember singing as a little girl in my bedroom and feeling like clairvoyantly, clairaudiently, but clairsentient, like all the clairs, realizing that I was surrounded by a circle of divine angels, guides. And as I'm singing, I'm looking around and like feeling them all there and feeling them celebrating and supporting me in that expression, that self-expression. I was like, little weird moments like that I guess aren't normal, and you don't realize that they're not until you look back and you're like, holy shit, I was so psychic. Like, I was so tuned in, and nobody understood what I was trying to tell them. And they kept telling me it was evil. They kept
Oh.
telling me it was wrong, to the point of, I'm surprised I'm sharing this, but this must be, somebody needs to hear this, to the point of like the darkest moment of my childhood when somebody tried to perform an exorcism on me. It
Oh.
was so beyond the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And I've had a lot of bad things, but that just broke a part of me. Like, it's like, I needed a full soul retrieval after that, because it was like a piece of me just shattered away because of the it was so abusive and it was so shocking to my system. I went into shock when it was done to me. And it's like,
Oh.
how to reclaim all of that. Like, I am just so proud of myself to even be sitting here and be able to talk about it at all. But then before I even knew what my real path was, to just have that nudge to start that YouTube channel and to share that, the courage to go and to say, okay, I'm a starseed. Before starseed was cute, I was talking about starseed. Before it was trendy, when people just were
Poor.
calling me crazy, right? Like it wasn't cute, it wasn't trendy. I was just crazy at that point to
Yeah.
people. But I was like so before my time with a lot of it. And to just be so vulnerable, so vulnerable, so weird, so not fitting in, so like whatever words you want to use, like for somebody that just seems a little bit like cuckoo, like I don't know, and like to just fully own that and say things like, I have these gifts, I'm able to talk to my spirit guides, I can help you connect to yours, here's what they're telling me about this, starting to channel before I even knew what channeling was. Like I was doing all these things and I had no words for them, and I just was in full trust that I felt this really strong mission. This, I can only say, this felt like bigger than me. It was like bigger than my own life timeline. It felt like a larger timeline of a mission, that I was here to help people through their awakening. And it was like, all right, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'm just so going to lean into this. And I am just going to be like, let's figure it out together, to my audience and to my community. And yeah, that's basically the
Oh,
beginnings of something that is now really beautiful and empowered. But looking back, it's like, how did I survive it? You know?
yeah. Look at how far you've come, Jenny. I am so proud of little you and the 25-year-old you and all these past versions of you who, like, it does take so much courage to decide that you're going to change your life or that you're going to take that next step.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have it all figured out, even if you don't have all the answers, you have no idea where the fuck this is going to lead you, or if this is going to work out, or if you're going to face plant. And you did that. And I'm so grateful. I don't know, I'm so emotional. I feel like I can relate so much, like, to many parts of your story. Um, like literally my awakening started at 25 also, and I was also given the book, The Secret.
No,
Yeah, I'm not kidding, Jenny.
getting all these chills. This is insane.
Like that book was like perfect for me for where I was because I was so much in a victim mentality. That was the book that just ignited that spark. Oh, chills again. So yeah, I can connect to so many of the things you were saying when you were talking. I'm like, holy shit! Like,
Mhm.
I didn't realize that we had so much in common, even with like the haunted house. Like, oh wow, how much time do we have? But I love how you were able to share. You're sharing so all of this from a completely different perspective, right? Because you're not in it anymore. You're not like in that anymore. So now you are able to share about all this from a different perspective and say that it was bigger than me all along. It wasn't just what I was experiencing at the time. There was something bigger happening all along. And I think that's like such a big takeaway here is like, even when I look back at when I was so in that like dark victim space and so full of anxiety, so full of depression, not have like my mind, I'm curious if you ever felt this where I tried so hard to avoid my own thoughts because it felt just like they weren't mine and they were so messy and all over the place. And it's like there's so much noise in my mind all the time. I don't know if you can relate to that, but it was just
Absolutely. Like I had extreme PTSD, which I didn't
same.
know. And I thought, oh, I just have anxiety, but I was getting like flashbacks, repressed memories, racing thoughts.
Mm,
And I would deal with that in unhealthy ways because that's what I was shown. Like, I pretty much started becoming this like addict with, needing substances to quiet my mind. And then that's obviously like a path that I didn't want to continue on, but it happens really quickly. You don't even realize, like all of a sudden you're
yeah.
having a glass of wine once a week, on the weekends a little more, and then it's every day, and then it's, then you can maybe add other things into that too. And before I knew it, I was becoming the father that hurt me so
Mm,
much. And I just had this like weird awakening moment where I was like, I know that he had a really difficult, hurt people. He also had all this
yeah.
stuff, which is why he was the way that he was. How can I now become that? Because I'm getting this opportunity to break an ancestral pattern right now. and I can choose to rise and go through some kind of rehab or something and be really vulnerable and tell people I need help and hold myself accountable to that. Or I can just quietly sink like I was drowning, right? And I just had this very like, one of my spirit guides that has been with me since I was a little girl. I have one that's like been with me this entire time. And her voice popped in and she said, when are you going to start living your life? Like, when are you going to stop being this zombie in your own life? Like, it's going to go by like that if you don't do something now. And I was like, oh shit, like I need to do something. And it took so much courage to reach out. And when you feel that feeling, it's important to tell someone, really important to tell someone. If you're feeling suicidal, if you're feeling like you have a problem, if you're feeling like you're addicted to stuff, and you tell someone, they care more than you think they do in those moments.
Yes.
And they will check in on you, and your family does love you and your friends do care. And sometimes we can talk ourselves out of the fact that they care, but they do. And it's like, I told my partner at the time and I told my mom, those were the only two people I told, but it was enough for them to be like, okay, now we have to hold you accountable to getting better. And that's what I needed.
Oh, thank you for just sharing like the raw and real, like this is what needs to be talked about more. And I'm just in awe of you sharing this. And I know that so many people need to hear this. Again, I can relate so hard. And you touched on something so specific that I have to mention is the speak it out loud to someone. Whatever you're fearing, whatever stories are playing in your mind, like whatever you're being convinced of, or just, when there is that negative, nasty inner voice or whatever it is, say it out loud to someone. It immediately takes some of its power away, and you're immediately taking some of your power back. That was such a huge theme for me in my life, is like I would hold it all in, and it would grow. Holding it in causes it to grow. Whereas when you finally speak it out, it's like, okay, you're releasing some of it. And yeah, people do
It's
care
like
more than
shining
you
the
think.
light on it. Yeah.
It is.
Like, you keep things in the dark, they get scarier. You shine a light on it, and especially inviting other people in to help you with love and light, it just shrinks. Mhm.
1000%. It really does. So I love, and that's been a part of my method for even what's helped me get to where I am now is I would openly, in front of people, podcast interviews, in front of students, I would openly speak out about what my inner critic was saying so that I would stop it from having any power over me, and then I would be able to continue. And I know that there's a lot of people who wouldn't do this normally, right? Because it's like you're telling on yourself. Um, but it was part of my growth, or it was part of my healing, I guess, and taking my power back from just being like, okay, I need to take a moment and tell you exactly what my inner critic is saying so that way I can continue and move forward. And yeah, don't recommend that for everybody, of course, but that was just part of my process. It's like and I feel like I'm sharing this so people know it was always so well received, and people actually were like so appreciative of my honesty with that, or my vulnerability or whatever. And it just
Totally. Because they probably have
nothing.
the same thing and they're like, oh, thank God it's not just me. Mhm.
Yes, exactly. It's like I would just lead through example. So I feel like that needed to be said for anyone who's like overthinking, like having to be perfect or whatever. It's like, no, you you show up exactly as you are, and it's okay if you still have an inner critic. It's okay if you still have imposter syndrome. It's, you know what I mean? All these things as
Yeah.
you're moving forward. You can't wait to get started until those things are gone, because that's just not the way it works. And
It's also like a hack to like productivity or ambitious stuff, because like if you get an idea in your mind and you're like, I'm going to put that in my business notebook and then I'm just going to close that and put it over here because it's too scary, nothing happens. But if you get this idea for an event and you go on Instagram and you say, okay, I just had this idea, you're going to see it coming soon, here it is, you hold yourself accountable to your
yes,
idea. So it's a little bit of a business thing too, like where I think that if I've definitely done that, where I've announced stuff before I have anything. Like I have no lesson plan, I
Same.
have no date, I have no link. I have no link for you. I have nothing. I just have an idea. And I'm already saying, DM me if you're interested. So it's
Mhm.
okay to not have anything other than the seed of the idea. Like you don't have to wait for that link. You can start talking about it before you have your sales page or whatever.
That's so true. That is my style, the hot messy.
Yeah.
It's so, so true. I've shared about this before. Like, how do I do what I do? I usually take action before my brain can convince me not to. Like, I will do it before my the inner critic or whatever can come in and be like, no, you shouldn't, or whatever, right? And overthink it. So that's part of it too. Oh my gosh. Okay. What else is there? Hmm. Actually, I would love to ask you, is there anything you are feeling called to share? Is there anything that these listeners might need to hear right now? I would just love to give you that opportunity to share if there's anything on your heart or anything, even intuitively, you feel called to share, even if it's totally random and off topic.
Okay. What's coming up for me is to almost like circle back to when we said that the 9 to 5 is bullshit. I think we caught that on the recording because we started going and then, but I just want to talk about that for a sec
Yeah.
because it's so much bigger than that. It's like there are certain souls here on this earth right now that are experiencing some level of an awakening of a self-awareness that's coming in, and those souls need to understand that they are being called to something bigger, right? If you're feeling soul called, like you have a purpose, a larger purpose for being here, that there's something like when I was telling you guys about how I felt like this urge to get on YouTube and I didn't know why, and I felt like I wasn't good enough. But when I did, it turned out that there was this whole community of people that were like, thank God you said it. Oh my God, you speak my language. Like, thank you so much. I get thanked daily still for YouTube videos, people sending me like really sincere messages of how it's helping them. It's like if you never put yourself out there, then you'll never know. And it really does take courage. It really does take stretching that comfort zone and stepping out. But if you're being called, you know, it's like a very physical feeling. Like I would feel it, I would say in my solar plexus. It was almost like a push from within, like, oh, like I'm here to do something. And I would almost have like anxiety about it, where I was like, I'm wasting time. I know I have a mission. What is it? What am I here to do? Oh my God. Like what? It's like, start at the first step. Don't freak yourself out by thinking you need to know the whole picture. You don't need 10 steps. You need the flashlight effect is you need 1 or 2 steps illuminated. And when you take them, the next steps are illuminated. And then the next, you have to take a step, or you'll
Yeah.
just always have this feeling inside of like, I'm not doing enough. I'm here for something. What is this purpose? What is calling me? It feels so big. It's like, well, sit down, meditate, get your journal out and figure out what is one step that I can take right now. Is it I'm here to serve people, humanity? Am I here to serve the animal kingdom or Gaia or like the environment? Or am I here to serve the awakening community? Like who or my brothers and sisters are like, what is it specifically here to serve the divine feminine? There's so many different kinds of earth missions that people have. And the first steps are that feeling inside. And I just want to say we're in 2023. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? There is something very big coming. I have continued to get shown the year 2024 over and over and over again in my channelings. There's really big coming, like a shift of some kind. And we really need all of the, new earth leaders or all of the awakening people on board, to on their missions, on their path, feeling empowered, feeling like they have this purpose, and to support the newly awakening people, because the awakening is happening in waves. It's like,
Mhm.
like there's a wave of awakening and then maybe it's quiet and then there's another wave. We can't all actually awaken at one time because the infrastructure is not in
No.
place and would like catch on fire basically.
No.
And that would not be conducive to the end result, which is to kind of like rebuild our society in love and in equality. And what
Yeah.
people call the new earth is just earth rebuilt, like the larger systems of healthcare and politics and all those things rebuilt with people that have true intentions of being of service and helpful. It's the people that make the new earth, right? And so anyway, these waves of awakenings are coming. There's going to be a very big one in 2024. So what they need is people to support them. So we need all the healers, we need all the channelers, we need all the mentors and coaches and light language artists, and we need all the people on board. And that's why I just say you're being called. We need you. We're like 6 months away-ish from 2024. You have time, start now. It's not an urgency and fear. It's an urgency of you're truly needed. And you're going to feel so much more fulfilled in your life and so much more content when you step onto your path like that. And you feel like you're truly being of service. Like there's no 9 to 5 on this planet that could make me feel as fulfilled as serving my community makes me feel. And there's no 9 to 5 job that could nearly be as abundant in the amount of free time and the amount of wealth and the amount of connections that I get to make, the people that I get. Like there's nothing better than your purpose. It's nothing will feel better to you than what you're meant to be doing. So we got to, help people figure out what that is. So I would love to, if somebody's listening to this and feeling like, oh my God, I need help, I would love to work with you. Come find me on Instagram, Starseed Academy. I have single sessions about finding your soul gifts. I have programs like Psychic Light where people discover their gifts, master them. I have programs like CEO of Light where once you understand what your gifts are, let's build a business. It's like very cohesive and it all like flows together. So wherever you're at on your journey, I have a way that I could, and that's my purpose. Literally, it's my divine mission to help people step into their mission, which is like the most fulfilling thing ever. So I want to leave that message, just saying, like, if you're feeling called, there is something bigger calling you, then invest in yourself and invest in that feeling and figure it out.
I know that so many people needed to hear that. And I'm so grateful that you shared that message and went deeper into that. So really quick, because I know that I don't even know how long we've been doing this for, but we're having fun, so time is flying. But um okay, so to the person who, let's say, is working a 9 to 5 and it's like it's all they have right now, and they're feeling like, okay, there's gotta be something more, but like where do I even begin? What is like one tangible step that they can take? Like, is it just a matter of, like, I'm curious to ask you because I know what I would say, but I want to hear what you would say of like, what is something that they can do to open themselves up to receive, maybe it's the next step, or I don't know what you would call it. I feel like you already know what I'm trying to ask. Yeah.
So if it's not like blaringly loud yet and it's a quiet nudge, then that's good. You're catching it early, because those soul nudges get really loud really fast.
Do they ever?
And then all of a sudden you're nudged right out of your 9 to 5, you get fired or laid off or whatever. And now you're like, oh, I got nudged out of that because it's not right for me, but I don't have anything else to support me yet. That's not the best place to be, but it happens and you can make it work. The best place to be is when the nudges are a little quieter, you start building something. And then eventually what you build, this is better on the nervous system, to start building your community and start to showing up online or whatever it is that's right for you. Building that while kind of slowly reducing hours at a 9 to 5 is the ultimate. But most people don't listen to those nudges early on. Then they get nudged right off their path. Now they're fired or they're laid off or whatever. And they're like, now what do I do? And then it's like, okay, well, you're probably going to find it's hard to find another 9 to 5 because your guides are going to make you unhireable for some reason. Like I've seen happen to people too, where it's like, I can't find anything, which makes no sense, right?
Right.
But it's because you're not meant to be doing that. So you're asking more like, well, where do you start? I would say for me, what I wanted to start with was, what do I have to offer? How can I be of service? What can I do that can be of service? Because as soon as you step into service is key. If you step into service in any way, the universe will rush in to support you with all the opportunities, abundance, doors opening, meeting the right people. How can you be of service now? There is a way. And if it's really small, is it you volunteer somewhere in your community, or you reach out and you call that friend and help them through something, or is it something bigger where, you know what, I'm ready to take, I feel like a healer, I want to take an energy healing course, and then I want to start offering sessions. Like, what level of service can you show up for and do that? Because service is the answer.
1000%. I could not have answered that any better. And I love that it's something that's actually so simple, but so powerful. It's like anyone can literally just take a moment to ask that question out loud or in your mind to, God, source, universe, like whatever your higher power is, and just say, like, okay, how can I serve? How can I be of service? And just be intentional about it and then be open to receiving. Like you said, the opportunities are going to come flooding in, the nudges are going to come flooding in. It does happen just like that. As soon as you switch your focus to service, I love, love, love that you shared that so much.
Yeah,
Um,
put yourself in the seat of service. People will show up to receive that. Like there's so many people that need so many different things, so much support.
yes. And the universe will bring you those opportunities and people who are aligned with receiving your unique gifts and how you, as a unique individual, can serve, right? Like with their soul gifts and everything. And it's just incredible how we're all part of something so much bigger than us that we don't even realize sometimes because we are so sucked into the regular, like,
So beautiful. But like one of the easiest ways to be of service, that's a great business plan, is to build a community with long form content. Start a
yes.
podcast, start a YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channel, start an IG live series where you're, doing, get a theme going or something. That is service.
Yes.
Valuable content, free content, inspiring people, teaching people, giving them a taste of, your magic, your life story. That's service to me. I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is 1000%. And I actually had a conversation with a client about this who I believe she is working a 9 to 5, and something that she's passionate about is trying new recipes
Mm,
and just and what was coming through was, why don't you share that about that, like the recipes that you try, like take people along the journey. That is being of service. That is something purposeful that could bring joy to people, or like it's a way for you to build a community and connect. So don't overthink. Don't It's like what I want to also say to people is, don't underestimate the power of you just being you and like figuring it out and having some fun and sharing. It could be that, oh, you're wanting to start gardening and you take people along the ride for that, and you're showing them your process and you're showing that, you're showing them the growth and everything. It doesn't have to be something really big. And
And don't let perfectionism
yes.
paralyze you from taking that step. Because if I did that, I'd never be where I am today. And like 2019 is not that long ago, and I'm in such an incredible place with my business. It's so possible for people. And I could have done it sooner if I had have invested in myself sooner too, right? I was going a long
Yeah.
time to do it all on my own. It's so fast. You could change your life in a year. I know that you can, right?
Yes.
If you just get started now. But the perfectionism thing cripples people. It
Yes.
paralyzes them. And like I look back on my very first YouTube videos and they are so cringe, so bad. Like I can't even watch them. And yet I refuse to delete them because
Mm,
someone's there. Someone is there. They're at the beginning. And it's good to show people that your growth. Don't go deleting all your old Instagram posts and all your old videos. That's not cool. Let people see that you're a real person who wasn't always branded or who wasn't always like,
yeah.
it's good to be cringe because at least you're starting. Like
It's
just
good
embrace
to be cringe. There is
it.
the medicine.
Yeah. Embrace it.
Embrace the cringe, you guys. It doesn't have to be perfect whatsoever. Oh my God, Jenny, this conversation was food for my soul, and I'm sure it will be for everyone who is listening. I just see you as such a lighthouse for so many, and I'm so grateful that you shared your story with us and things that you haven't even shared before openly. I'm just so grateful for you. It's been so beautiful to watch you grow and blossom even more, since knowing. I can't even remember when we met. We like how long ago that was that we
I've
connected.
been stalking you forever. No, I'm just joking. Like following you on Instagram forever. You've been such a source of inspiration to me for my entire journey. So I have you just, in my favorites, showing up all the time in my feed. And it's been so inspirational the way that you always share just where you're at, exactly where you're at, and that it's always the perfect amount. Like it's never too much or too little. You're just you might not feel that way, but you come across as very accepting of exactly where you're at in the moment that you're at, especially your lives. Everybody loves your lives.
Thank you,
It's very
Jenny.
inspirational. You're
That you
welcome.
are so kind. You are so kind. I just feel your heart. I feel so connected to you. I always have. And yeah, I'm just excited for whatever is to come. And I love that you shared about the 2024. I'm gonna have to dive into some of your videos to see more. I want to like dive in more into that. So for everyone who's listening, I believe you've already shared it, but one last time. So where can they find you and like your YouTube channel and all of that?
My main things are YouTube and Instagram, and they're both just Starseed Academy. I have a
Perfect.
lot of those scammer accounts, so look for the blue check because I had to do that so that it would just calm down.
Same.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, perfect. And I'll of course link everything in the show notes. And yeah, so
This
that's
was
what we have for
magical.
today. Oh, this I'm so
Thank
glad you
you.
enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll have to do it again sometime because I think
I would love that. I
that
would
would
love
be
that.
amazing. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording now, but love you guys so much. Let us know how much you enjoyed this video. Definitely go check out Jenny. Like, go and follow her, send her a message, or check out her YouTube channel. And yeah, again, let us know how you enjoyed this or what your biggest takeaway was. Love you. Bye.